All right, so another year, another chance to make it our best one yet.
That's right. It's funny though. How often do we actually achieve those big goals we set for ourselves?
I know I've been guilty of falling into that New Year's resolution trap before. Start off strong, all gung-ho, and then by February,
Poof, the motivation's gone and we're back to our old habits.
exactly. Like clockwork gym membership goes unused, healthy eating habits out the window.
It's a familiar cycle, isn't it?
It really is. But what if this year could be different? What if there was a way to actually create lasting change instead of just relying on willpower, which we both know, let's be honest, doesn't always work?
I think there is. And that's exactly what we're diving into today, the power of identity-based change.
Identity-based change. Okay, now you've got my attention. We've got a whole pile of research here, article studies, all point into this idea that identity is the secret sauce to actually achieving those big goals.
It's fascinating stuff, really. You see, the traditional approach to goal setting is all about the what, right? Lose weight, make more money, be more productive. But identity-based change flips the script. It asks, who do I need to become to make those things happen?
So, instead of saying, I want to write a novel, I'd say, I am a writer.
That's the idea. It's about shifting your self-perception, aligning your actions with the person you want to be.
So it's kind of like fake it till you make it.
It's more than just faking it, though. It's about embodying that identity fully. One of the articles here talks about how our brains crave consistency. So if you see yourself as a writer, you're naturally going to make time for writing. You'll seek out inspiration. You'll connect with other writers. It becomes part of who you are, not just something you force yourself to do.
I'm starting to see how powerful this could be. So you're saying that by shifting our identity, those actions, those habits we struggle with, they suddenly become more natural, less like a chore and more like just who we are.
Exactly. And the research backs this up. We have a study here that shows people who focus on identity-based goals are more likely to not only achieve them, but also maintain those changes over time.
So it's not just about checking off boxes on a to-do list. It's about actually changing our self-perception.
Exactly. It's about rewiring our brains to support the person we want to become.
Okay, so I'm sold on this idea in theory, but I have to ask, how do we actually put it into practice? I mean, simply saying, I am a healthy person isn't going to magically transform my lifestyle, right?
You're right. It's not magic. It's a process. And a big part of that process is understanding why traditional resolutions fail in the first place.
Yeah, that's something I'm all too familiar with. Start strong, lose steam, give up, repeat. Is it really all about that initial burst of motivation just fizzling out?
That's a huge part of it. We rely on this fleeting feeling to carry us through. But what happens when the going gets tough? We haven't actually changed who we are, so we fall back into old patterns.
Okay, so motivation alone isn't going to cut it. What are we supposed to do then?
Well, we need a system, like a framework for change.
Our framework, huh?
Yeah, and that's where identity-based change really shines. It gives us a roadmap, a way to transform not just our actions, but our whole way of being.
All right, I like the sound of that. So what's the first step on this roadmap to change?
Step one is all about getting clear on who you want to be. Not just what you want to achieve, but the person you need to become to make it happen.
So instead of saying, I want to run a marathon, it's more like, I am a runner.
Exactly. It's about embodying that identity. What does a runner do? How do they think? What are their habits?
Okay, I can see that. But how do we actually start acting like this new person?
That's a step two. It's about acting as if you're already that person.
Even if I haven't run a single mile yet.
Yep, even then, think about it. If you were a runner, how would you approach your day? Would you hit snooze, or would you lace up your shoes and get moving?
Yeah, I see your point. It's about making those small choices from the perspective of my future self.
Exactly. And here's the cool part. Research has shown that even pretending to be more confident can actually change your brain chemistry. So by acting as if we're already that person, we start to internalize those qualities.
So it's about closing that gap between who we are and who we want to be.
Exactly. It's a feedback loop. Our actions reinforce our beliefs, and our beliefs drive our actions.
This is all making sense. But let's be real, some days I'm super motivated and other days it's a struggle to even get out of bed. How do we stay consistent with this acting as if when motivation dips?
That's a great question. And it leads us to step three, rewiring our minds daily. Because change isn't always easy. We're going to have those days where old patterns and limiting beliefs creep back in. That's why we need a toolbox of techniques to reinforce our new identity.
So we're talking about things like affirmations, visualization, journaling, right? I'll admit I used to think that stuff was a little woo-woo, but I'm starting to see how it could actually be helpful.
Yeah, it can be powerful. Each technique has a role to play. Affirmations, for example, they're like positive self-talk on steroids, flooding your subconscious with statements that align with your desired identity.
Okay, and what about visualization? Is that just like daydreaming with a purpose?
Kind of, but it's more about creating a vivid mental movie of yourself, living as your future self. Engage all your senses. What do you see? What do you feel? What do you hear?
So the more real you can make it, the more your brain starts to believe it's possible.
Exactly. You're creating a neural pathway, a blueprint for your brain to follow, and the more you practice visualizing, the stronger that pathway becomes.
And then there's journaling. I've always found journaling helpful, but how does it fit into this identity-based change framework?
It's all about self-reflection and accountability. It helps you track your progress. Notice any limiting beliefs that might be holding you back, and celebrate those wins along the way.
So affirmations, visualization, journaling, any other tools in this rewiring toolbox?
Oh yeah, one that's often overlooked is our environment. The people we surround ourselves with, the information we consume, the physical spaces we inhabit. All of that has a huge impact on our thoughts, beliefs, and actions.
You're saying our environment can either help or hurt our identity shift.
Absolutely. If you're trying to become a runner, but you're surrounded by people who are always sitting on the couch, it's going to be tough. But if you surround yourself with other runners, people who understand and support your journey, it becomes so much easier.
So it's about creating a support system for our new identity to thrive in.
Exactly. And it's about curating what you consume. Fill your social media feeds with inspiring content. Follow thought leaders in your field, and create physical spaces that support your goals, whether that's a dedicated workspace or a clutter-free environment that helps you focus.
Sounds like we have more control than we realize over shaping our environment to match our desired identity.
We absolutely do, and the more intentional we are about it, the more likely we are to succeed. It's all about setting ourselves up for success.
So let's recap. We define our future identity, we act as if we're already that person, and we actively rewire our minds daily. Seems like a pretty holistic approach.
It is, and that's what makes it so powerful. It's not about willpower or some fleeting feeling. It's about becoming the person who naturally does those things, because they're aligned with who you truly are.
Wow. So we've covered a lot of ground today. Why traditional resolutions fail the power of identity-based change and how to actually put it into practice.
It's a lot to take in, but it's all about giving our listeners the tools they need to make this year truly transformative.
You know, one thing that really stuck with me from all this research is this idea that 2025 won't be different unless we are different.
Yeah, that's a powerful one. It's so easy to get caught up in thinking, oh, next year I'll be more disciplined, more successful, more whatever.
But real change happens now, in this moment, with the choices we make every single day.
Exactly. We have the power to shape our own reality, to choose who we want to be, and then step into that identity one decision at a time.
It's pretty incredible when you think about it. We're not just victims of circumstance. We can actually design our own lives.
Absolutely. It's all about taking ownership and becoming the architects of our own future.
So for anyone listening who's feeling inspired, who's ready to embrace this idea of identity-based change, where do they even begin?
I'd say start by asking yourself one simple question. What's one identity shift you're committing to for 2025? What's that one aspect of yourself you really want to cultivate?
That you want to step into fully?
Right. Maybe it's the writer, the entrepreneur, the athlete, the healthy, thriving version of you. Whoever it is, get clear on that vision.
Write it down, visualize it, feel it in your bones, and then start acting as if that person is already here.
Make choices from that place of knowing.
Because at the end of the day, lasting change doesn't happen by chance, it happens by choice.
Our choice.
Exactly. Our choice to become the person we're meant to be. So go out there and make 2025 the year you break free from those old patterns and step into the most extraordinary version of yourself. We're rooting for you.